Hello, wanderer of thoughts, and welcome back to The Wandering Neuron, where science is soft as starlight and wonder curls like fog around forgotten truths. Where are you listening from tonight? Perhaps a small, quiet room where moonlight touches your walls, or a distant city where the hum of life never truly sleeps. Maybe you're curled beneath warm blankets, your body still, but your mind still drifting, still asking. Tonight, we do not look to the stars. We turn inward and downward into the breathless silence below. Beneath the skin of the earth lies a world older than language, deeper than light, and stranger than any dream we've ever had. A world untouched by wind or weather, where creatures cling to stone and entire ecosystems bloom in the absence of sunlight. Where life exists without needing a sky. Where time moves not in days, but in the slow pulse of tectonic breath. It is a place most of us will never see, and yet it is always beneath us, carrying us, protecting us, breathing beneath our feet. Some say it is lifeless, too hot, too dark, too deep. But others believe it is a kind of second Earth, not empty, but full of life we've never met. Perhaps, so different from us, it might as well be alien. So tonight, we drift gently downward, not with drills or machines, but with imagination, guided by science, and by the subtle thread of curiosity that has always connected us to mystery. Close your eyes if you'd like. Let the surface world fade and descend with me into the strange, quiet depths of the world beneath our world. Let us begin not with what lies below, but with what lies between. Beneath your feet is more than just rock. It is a living archive, a breathing monument to the planet's slow heartbeat. Every inch beneath the ground holds a secret of fire, pressure, ancient seas, or forgotten continents. Geologists divide Earth into layers, each more mysterious than the last. The crust, so thin it's almost laughable, just 5 kilometers deep beneath the oceans, perhaps 70 beneath mountains. That's it. That's all we stand upon. Everything we know, cities, oceans, forests, love, all of it rests on this delicate shell, a mere film over something vast and unknown. Imagine peeling an apple. The skin, that's the crust. Everything else inside is what we're here to explore. Next, we descend into the mantle, a kingdom of stone that moves. Yes, moves. The rocks here are solid, but under such pressure and heat, they flow like honey. Slowly, endlessly, a tide of time, churning the continents above like clouds caught in wind. Temperatures here can reach over 3,000 degrees Celsius. But unlike the searing chaos of fire, the mantle is patient. It moves an inch or two a year, but it never stops. It is from this mantle that magma rises,
forming islands, splitting continents, breathing heat into the bones of the earth.
But what lies below this flowing stone? Deeper still, we come to a realm few dare to imagine: the outer core. Here, rock can no longer hold its shape. It is liquid metal, primarily iron and nickel, swirling in currents thousands of kilometers wide. This churning metal generates Earth's magnetic field, the invisible cloak that protects us from solar winds, cosmic radiation, and the loneliness of space. Without it, life as we know it could never have formed. Your compass needle obeys it. So does the aurora, and birds migrating across oceans whisper to it with instincts no one fully understands. It is the heart's heartbeat. But even this sea of fire is not the end. At the very center of Earth, nearly 6,400 kilometers from where you sit, is a solid sphere of iron, crystallized under impossible pressure, hotter than the surface of the sun, dense enough to hold the memory of a planet's formation. Some scientists believe it spins independently of the planet, that it has its own rhythm, its own subtle dance that shapes the length of our days. Others wonder if it holds something else, something forgotten, a message from when the Earth was young. We cannot reach it. No drill could survive the journey, but seismographs, the Earth's stethoscopes, whisper its presence through the trembling of distant quakes. Now, here's where things become strange. Between the crust and the mantle lies the Mohorovičić discontinuity, or the MOHO, a boundary we know exists but cannot see. It is like a closed door in a house we live in. We've never crossed it. We only hear its echo in the way seismic waves bend and ripple like soft sighs through the deep. Is it solid? Is it fragmented? Does it hold water, gas, or life? We do not know. And the MOHO is not alone. Throughout the mantle are transition zones, pockets of mystery where the pressure and temperature create new phases of matter that do not exist on the surface. Strange minerals, water trapped in crystal cages, and perhaps tiny microbes waiting in the dark. Some say we've explored more of outer space than we have of what lies just beneath our feet. And they're right.
A thought before we go deeper. You may be wondering, if it's all just hot rock and metal, how could anything live down there? But what if I told you that even now, in the cracks and pores of Earth's crust, there are creatures so alien they might as well come from another world? Microbes that breathe sulfur, bacteria that survive radiation, acid, and crushing pressure, organisms that have not seen sunlight for millions of years yet persist in silence. We call this the deep biosphere, a realm of life that exists in total darkness, miles below the surface, and stretches far deeper than anyone imagined. And scientists now believe that there may be more life below the surface than on it. Let that settle in your mind. A second world, hidden within our own. Not made of aliens from the stars, but life so strange, so resilient, that it redefines what we mean by living. So as we continue deeper tonight, through stone, silence, and molten breath, remember this: not all aliens come from the sky. Some may have always been here, in the quiet dark beneath our feet. Let us now step beyond stone and heat, beyond pressure and molten tides, into a realm that should not exist, and yet it breathes. Beneath the crust, in the narrow pores of rock, inside caverns long forgotten by time, there is life. Not the kind that flourishes in sunlight, not the kind that needs oceans or air. This life is a whisper, a secret hum in the bones of the earth. Scientists call it the deep biosphere, a shadow ecosystem that lives buried deep in Earth's crust, stretching miles down, with no sky, no seasons, no day, no night. And yet, there are billions, perhaps even trillions of living things down there. Their world is not built on sunlight, but on chemistry. They feed on hydrogen, sulfur, iron, and even uranium. They don't photosynthesize, they chemosynthesize, pulling energy from the bones of the planet itself. Some are bacteria, others ancient archaea, microbial forms so old they were here long before trees, long before fish, long before the moon settled into our sky.
And they may outlive everything else. The story of this hidden life began where humanity never meant to look. In the early 2000s, scientists descended into South African gold mines, nearly 3 kilometers below the surface. There, in the cracks between hot, pressurized rocks, they discovered something unexpected: a microbe. It was alive, thriving, utterly alone. It fed on radiation leaking from uranium-rich stone, and it didn't need oxygen, didn't need light, didn't even need other organisms. It was, in every way, alien. They called it Desulfurodus audex viator, the bold traveler of sulfur ways. And that traveler changed everything. Far from mines, in the icy stillness of Antarctica, another kind of underworld waited. Buried beneath 4 kilometers of ice lies Lake Vostok, a body of water sealed away for millions of years. No sunlight, no wind, no surface connection at all. Yet when scientists drilled carefully into its edge, what did they find? Signs of life. Microbes thriving in that ancient darkness, feeding on minerals leached from the rock, or perhaps from long-dead organisms preserved in the cold. Some believe these isolated ecosystems could be models for life elsewhere, on Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's Enceladus, because if life can survive here, it may not be rare, it may be inevitable. In 2018, scientists made a discovery so profound it was hard to believe. They estimated that the deep biosphere may contain up to 70% of all bacteria and archaea on Earth. Let that number settle in. Most life on this planet may live beneath it. Not in forests or oceans, but in tiny crevices inside rock, miles deep, invisible, silent, thriving. Some of these organisms are immortal by waiting, entering suspended animation for thousands of years until heat or water wakes them again. A kind of biological dreaming. Others live so slowly Their metabolic rate is 1,000,000 times slower than ours. Imagine a heartbeat once every 100 years. When astrobiologists, those who study life beyond Earth, want to simulate alien environments, they don't always look to Mars. They look downward, to Earth's own deep crust, to boiling hydrothermal vents, to acidic caves, to radioactive rocks. Because life down here is unlike anything up there.
The laws that govern surface life, sunlight, oxygen, photosynthesis, are irrelevant below. And this raises a haunting question. If intelligent life elsewhere in the cosmos has its origins not on the surface, but underground, would we even know how to look for it? What if the galaxy is full of worlds like ours, where life hides deep within, rather than upon the skin? What if the cosmos is not lifeless, only subterranean? Some scientists now believe that life on Earth may have begun underground, not in oceans, but in hydrothermal fractures in rock, safe from ultraviolet radiation, shielded from asteroid bombardments. In these quiet cracks, water met mineral, energy met chemistry, and life woke. If true, then we are all, in some sense, descendants of the dark, born not in light, but in warmth without flame. And that means alien life on other planets might not look for stars. It might dig toward heat. So, who is the alien? Close your eyes a moment. Feel the stillness of your room. Feel the floor beneath you, the layers of history that separate you from the Earth's beating heart. Now imagine, beneath you, there is a microbe, perhaps one of trillions. It has never seen the sun. It has never felt the wind. But it has lived longer than empires, longer than languages. And it does not care about us. To it, we are the brief ones, the flickering things, the mayflies of evolution. We call it alien because it is strange. But perhaps we are the strangers. The deep biosphere has been here far longer than we have, and it will likely remain long after we are gone. So far, we've traveled from the surface, through fire and stone, to the quiet cradles of life beneath the crust. But deeper still, there are places no one has yet touched, where science fades into speculation and myth begins to echo again. In our next section, we'll drift into the ancient stories of vast hollow chambers inside the earth, of civilizations below, and of the human urge to believe that we are never truly alone. Because as much as science has revealed, there are still whispers of tunnels and giants and glowing cities that sleep beneath our world. Are they only stories, or something more? Close your eyes. We'll find out soon. Before science carved paths through stone and fire,
before drilling machines sang their metallic songs, before satellites mapped the sky and seafloor alike, there were stories, stories whispered in shadows, stories told around flickering fires, stories of worlds beneath worlds, of places unseen and beings unknown. The idea of a hollow earth has danced through human imagination for centuries. A world not solid and dark inside, but a place with space to breathe, to wander, to live. In this idea, the earth is a shell, its interior hollow, not empty, but alive. A secret realm, a mirror of the surface, or perhaps something entirely different. Many ancient cultures tell of underworlds not as places of death alone, but as vibrant kingdoms beneath the ground. The Greeks spoke of Hades, a shadowy world below, where souls wander in twilight. The Norse imagined Svartalfheim, home of the dark elves, forgers of magic and mystery in cavern halls. The Mayans knew of Xibalba, a place of trials and spirits, where the earth breathes through hidden passages. Even the Aborigines of Australia tell stories of vast underground waters and ancestral caves, where the dream time lives on forever. Could these myths be echoes of something more than metaphor? A deep memory of the earth's secret places. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the idea of a hollow earth was taken more literally. Some imagined entrances at the poles, hidden gateways guarded by ice, leading to a vast interior world. Explorers, dreamers, and writers wove tales of inner continents, glowing cities, and strange creatures, perhaps even entire civilizations living in the deep. Though modern science has disproven a fully hollow earth, the idea lingers. Why? Because it speaks to something ancient in us, a desire for mystery, for hidden worlds, for places untouched by the sun and by time. Carl Jung called such myths archetypes, symbols from the collective unconscious, images that live in the deepest parts of our minds. The underworld is an archetype of the unknown, of darkness and rebirth, of the hidden parts of ourselves we rarely visit. When we dream, we descend into caves, tunnels, and labyrinths, mirror worlds of our waking life. The hollow earth, then, may be as much a journey inward as it is downward, a symbol of the subconscious, where shadows live and where transformation waits. Some modern explorers of the unknown speculate on the possibility of ancient, forgotten civilizations beneath the surface. Mysterious tunnels, vast cave networks, and strange formations have been found on every continent. Could these be the remnants of those myths? Could there be places we have not yet found? Cities carved into stone, silent monuments to a world beneath the world. Science remains skeptical, but the allure remains strong. After all, every layer we uncover only reveals how much more remains hidden. There is something profoundly human about imagining a world beneath our feet. It reminds us we are not always the center, not always the surface. There are depths within the earth and within ourselves that remain unexplored. And perhaps, just perhaps, the alien we seek is not only out there, but in here, in the silence beneath the noise, in the shadows beneath the light, in the deep caves within the earth, and within our souls. So, as you lie beneath the sky, think of the worlds you cannot see. Think of the creatures waiting in rock and ice, of ancient echoes beneath your feet, of stories written in stone and shadow.
The alien is not always a visitor from the stars. Sometimes it is a whisper from below, a mystery folded into the earth itself. And if you listen closely, you might hear it calling. Beneath our feet, beyond soil and stone, there are caverns so vast and ancient they defy the imagination. Places where time seems to slow, where silence is thick as water, and where light has never dared to wander.
These are the deep caves, Earth's hidden cathedrals of stone, dark as the void between stars, and just as mysterious. Imagine stepping into a world where sunlight never reaches, where the walls drip with centuries-old mineral whispers, where the air is cool and still and heavy with secrets. In places like the Krubera Cave in Georgia, the deepest known cave on Earth, descending over 2,100 meters, explorers brave crushing pressure and freezing cold to touch the very bones of our planet. Every step deeper is a journey through layers of silence, a journey into a realm where gravity feels softer, where sound is swallowed whole, and where ancient rivers have carved their paths long before humans existed. But caves are only part of the story. Beneath ice sheets and mountains, there are hidden oceans, vast bodies of water sealed away for eons. Lake Vostok in Antarctica is one of the most famous, 4 kilometers beneath ice, trapped in darkness for millions of years. Scientists believe it could hold life. Organisms unlike any on the surface, adapted to crushing pressure, eternal cold, and complete isolation. These deep waters resemble oceans on other worlds. Europa, a moon of Jupiter, where liquid water flows beneath a frozen crust. Studying Earth's hidden oceans is a way to glimpse the alien seas beyond our sky. What kind of life thrives here? Microbes that cling to rock walls, feeding on minerals. Bacteria that use sulfur or iron as fuel. Organisms that can survive radiation, acid, and starvation. Creatures that live in total isolation, free from sunlight and photosynthesis. Some microbes reproduce every few hundred years, a slow dance of survival, measured not in minutes or days, but in centuries. This is a world that challenges everything we know about life. Exploring these places is perilous. Scientists use robotic probes, deep drilling techniques, and remote sensing to peer into these alien realms. Every discovery reshapes our understanding. Each microbe found is a message from a world beyond light and air. As we learn more, we realize that life is not fragile, but remarkably adaptable. It can thrive where we least expect, in dark caverns, in scorching vents, in radioactive rock. Despite all we've uncovered, most of these caves and oceans remain unexplored. Maps are incomplete, passages remain blocked. The true scale is unknown. It is a frontier, closer than the stars, yet more mysterious than any distant planet. Every expedition is a voyage into the unknown, where science meets adventure, and where the alien quietly waits. Tonight, as you listen, imagine the vast darkness beneath your home. Picture the rivers flowing in eternal night, the microbes dancing in slow motion, the ancient stones that have held secrets for millennia. This is the alien world beneath Earth's surface. Silent, vast, alive. It is a reminder that mystery is never far away, that wonder exists not only in the skies, but also in the dark beneath our feet, and that the unknown is waiting for us to explore, not just out there, but down here in the quiet, infinite depths. We have wandered through caves and oceans, drifted in dark waters sealed beneath ice, and glimpsed the strange microbes that call stone their home. Now, let us go deeper still, beyond the crust, into the vast, simmering mantle, where Earth's heart pulses slow and steady, and the line between life and stone blurs into mystery. Imagine a world where rock is not solid, but a river, a molten, glowing, endless tide. This is the mantle, a thick shell of mineral that stretches thousands of kilometers down. It moves with patience and power, driving the slow dance of continents, the trembling of volcanoes, the breath of earthquakes. Beneath the crust, the mantle's heat reaches thousands of degrees, too fierce for any surface life to survive. And yet, could this fiery ocean hold its own forms of life? Scientists have long wondered if any kind of life could exist in the mantle. Bacteria have been found far deeper than once thought possible, in pockets where water clings to rock, where pressure crushes everything but the smallest cells. Some propose that life may endure, slowly feeding on chemicals, shielded by rock and heat, living at the edge of existence. It is not life as we know it, but life nonetheless. One of the most intriguing clues comes from hydrogen. Recent studies suggest that water trapped deep inside the mantle can split to produce hydrogen gas. Hydrogen, a powerful energy source for microbes. Could this fuel life far beneath the surface? If so, the mantle becomes not just a mass of rock, but a living ecosystem. A vast subterranean ocean where life survives on the edge of fire. Earth's inner pulse and the breath of life. There is a poetic beauty to this idea, that the planet itself may be alive, not in the way we see trees or animals alive, but as a breathing, pulsing entity, where heat and chemistry create pockets of life hidden deep in its veins. Some call this the Gaia hypothesis, the idea that Earth is a single living system, where every part, from microbes to mountains, works together in a delicate balance. If the mantle hosts life, it may be the heart of that system, a secret engine powering the biosphere. No one has drilled far enough to find living cells deep in the mantle, but the possibility invites wonder. It reminds us that life's definition is fluid, that Earth is stranger than we imagine, and that the universe may hold many forms of existence beyond our understanding. So, tonight, as you lie quietly, feel the warmth of your body, the steady pulse of your own breath. Imagine the mantle, a glowing sea beneath miles of stone, vast, silent, mysterious. Imagine life surviving there, slow, ancient, invisible, a hidden pulse beneath our feet. The earth is more than rock and metal. It is a living poem, written in fire and stone, in microbes and magma, in silence and motion. And in that poem, we find the deepest wonder, that the alien might not be somewhere else, but here, deep within our own world, far below the soil where roots twist and worms sleep.
Beneath the stone where fossils dream in silence, there exists a realm so quiet, so hidden, that for centuries we believed it to be lifeless. But we were wrong. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, scientists began drilling, exploring, questioning, and what they discovered shook the very definition of life. Beneath our feet, in rocks long sealed from sunlight, they found creatures, not with eyes or wings, but with resilience, forged in pressure and heat.
Microbes, tiny architects of survival, single-celled wanderers that live not on oxygen or sunlight, but on chemical whispers from the rocks themselves. In the deepest gold mines of South Africa, scientists found Candidatus disulphurudus audax viator, a bacterium that thrives 3 kilometers underground, utterly alone. It lives in complete darkness, surviving on radiation and hydrogen pulled from the surrounding rock. Its name? A poetic echo from Latin, the bold traveler of the sulfur roads. Elsewhere, miles beneath the seafloor, they uncovered entire microbial ecosystems, thriving in porous basalt surrounded by ancient oceanic crust. These aren't the aliens of science fiction, but they are alien in every way that matters. They do not need the sun. They do not breathe as we do. They endure temperatures that would boil your blood and pressures that would collapse your chest. They are Earth's shadow life, its forgotten kingdom. And some scientists now believe that most of Earth's biomass, that is, the weight of all living things, might not exist on the surface at all, but deep underground, in this immense, dark, unseen biosphere. What else might be down there? What species untouched by surface time? What intelligences, not measured in thoughts, but in chemistry, in rhythm, in endurance? Could they be a mirror of what life might look like on Europa or Mars, where oceans sleep beneath ice and light never comes? The alien world might not be up in the stars. It might be beneath your feet. There are places where the earth exhales, slow and steady, like a sleeping beast. Breathless silence, damp stone, a darkness so complete it hums in your bones. These are the caves, winding, cathedral-like halls carved not by hands, but by time, water, and the patient strength of stone. They are memory chambers, ancient lungs of the planet, carrying the scent of epics and the echoes of stories we have yet to understand. Some caves stretch for hundreds of miles, like the Mammoth Cave System in Kentucky, or the vast unexplored chambers of Vietnam's Son Doong, so large it could fit a 40-story building, so old it predates the rainforest above it. Step inside, and you are no longer part of the surface world. The walls sweat minerals from the deep. Stalactites hang like frozen lightning, and blind fish drift through underground rivers that remember no sky. But beyond the science, beyond the limestone and dripstone and echo, there is something else here. A feeling, as if the Earth is not merely a planet, but a being. And these caverns are its inner sanctums, its chambers of thought, its dreaming corridors. Ancient cultures felt it too. The Hopi spoke of people who emerged from vast underground cities after a great flood. Tibetan monks whisper of Agartha, a hidden realm beneath the crust where beings of light and wisdom dwell in silence. In South America, Tales of the underworld speak of serpentine tunnels stretching from the Andes to places lost in time. And while mainstream science gently smiles at these myths, something still stirs in the dark. Because every so often, we discover something unexpected. A new species of blind salamander that glows faintly with bioluminescent skin. An ancient bacteria, dormant for millennia, awakened by water and still alive. Or caves in Mexico so rich in crystals the formations resemble alien cathedrals, towering gypsum pillars grown in silence beneath the earth. It makes you wonder, what else could be down here? What dreams does the planet keep in its stone heart? Are there sounds we haven't yet heard? Languages not of words, but of vibration and mineral rhythm? If Earth were alive, truly alive, would it not keep secrets in its deepest sleep? Beneath the crust, beyond our reach, a world slumbers, and we have only just begun to knock on its door. Close your eyes and imagine the Earth not as a solid sphere, but as a series of nested worlds, one inside the other, like a cosmic matryoshka doll. This is the heart of the Hollow Earth theory, a tale as old as exploration, woven with threads of hope, fiction, and strange possibility. It begins centuries ago with the hush of ancient libraries and whispered maps, drawings of secret entrances at the poles, of subterranean rivers and glowing suns nestled deep within our world. In 1692, the astronomer Edmund Halley, yes, the one of Halley's Comet fame, proposed that Earth might be composed of concentric shells. He believed strange compass readings and auroras in the Arctic were evidence of these inner spheres. He imagined entire worlds beneath our feet, with their own magnetic fields and hidden civilizations.
Later came John Cleves Sims, an eccentric 19th-century thinker who sent letters to every university, declaring the Earth to be hollow and open at the poles. He even petitioned Congress to fund an expedition to the Arctic to find these legendary entrances. He was laughed at, yes, but also believed by many. His followers imagined lush inner landscapes, illuminated not by our sun, but by a smaller central sun, tucked within the shell of our planet. Books soon followed, fiction dressed in the lace of science. The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton, Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Itidorfa, a strange tale of descent into inner realms where gravity fades and the mind opens like a flower. And while these were stories, the ideas did not die. Even in the 20th century, strange whispers persisted. Nazi expeditions to Antarctica, Admiral Richard Byrd's flights over the poles, where he claimed to have seen a land beyond the pole that is the center of the great unknown. Was it poetic exaggeration? Or did he glimpse something beyond maps and reason? Mainstream science dismisses the hollow Earth as myth. Seismology shows the planet has a solid inner core, a molten outer core, and a mantle of rock. We've mapped tremors like heartbeats, traced waves through layers that tell us Earth is not hollow, at least not in the way these theories suggest. But there are still caverns we cannot map, tunnels too deep to reach, pressures too high, heat too intense, mysteries too stubborn. So while we may not find vast civilizations beneath the crust, the myths still matter, because they speak to something ancient in us, a longing for inner discovery,
for the idea that beneath our known world lies another one, waiting to be remembered. And sometimes, what begins as myth becomes metaphor, and metaphors, like caves, open slowly to truth. Beneath our feet lies a realm that speaks in silence, in tremors, pulses, and the quiet memory of stone. It is a place where time does not rush, but instead coils and waits, where the earth records its own heartbeat, layer by layer, echo by echo. This is the inner earth, not a hollow world, but a world of density, of molten fire and pressure so great it can turn carbon into diamonds and compress history into crystal. And though we cannot walk these halls, we can listen. The earth speaks to us through seismic waves. When an earthquake ripples across the crust, it sends two messengers, P waves, which move like a heartbeat, and S waves, which roll like a whisper through stone. These waves are not just tremors, they are maps in motion. As they move through different layers, they speed up or slow down, bend or break, telling us, without a single word, what lies beneath. Thanks to them, we know the Earth's outer core is liquid. Because S waves cannot pass through it, they disappear, like sound in a void. But P waves, faster, tighter, can move through both rock and molten metal, revealing where solidity fades and fluid begins. It's as though the Earth guards its secrets, but cannot help revealing them in a shiver. There is more. Sometimes the planet hums. Even in the absence of earthquakes, the Earth produces a deep, low-frequency sound, so subtle we only noticed it with the rise of sensitive instruments. This Earth hum is like a soft song always playing in the background, a lullaby of waves colliding with continents, of wind pressing against the ocean's skin, of tides shifting crustal weight. And then there are magnetic fields, invisible rivers flowing from the deep, generated by the churning molten metal in the outer core. Our planet is wrapped in a magnetic cocoon, shielding us from solar winds and cosmic radiation. But this field is not constant. It drifts, it flickers, it sometimes reverses entirely. North becomes south, and ancient compasses would have spun in confusion. We find records of these flips in lava flows, like frozen compass needles in volcanic rock. Each one marks a chapter in Earth's autobiography, written in iron and fire. Even stones tell stories. In caves deep beneath the surface, stalagmites and stalactites grow drop by drop, recording shifts in rainfall, the chemistry of ancient air, the slow breathing of Earth's climate. These are not just mineral formations, they are scrolls in a stone library, and we're still learning how to read them. We also now turn to muons, ghost-like particles that rain from space, passing through everything, even mountains. By placing detectors in caves or deep mines, scientists can track these particles, mapping what lies above them. Cavities in pyramids, chambers in volcanoes, even possible voids within the crust. It is particle X-ray vision, and it is revealing what brute force never could. So the question becomes, if we can listen, if we can read, if we can feel the Earth's signals, What might we still discover? There may be no glowing sun inside, no hidden jungle under crust, but there are codes, signals still misunderstood, pulses not yet fully translated. And in that gentle static, that subterranean hum, there may still be secrets too deep for language, but not too deep for wonder.
There is a peculiar hush that falls when you open a very old book. The pages are dust-soft, the words inked by candlelight, and the ideas? They are not bound by what we now call rational. Many centuries ago, to ask what lies beneath the earth was not a question of geology, but of divinity, magic, and myth. And some of those myths are eerily persistent. The hollow earth hypothesis. In the 17th century, a man named Edmund Halley, yes, the same Halley of comet fame, proposed that the earth was not solid, but layered like a Russian doll, an outer shell, and within it concentric spheres, each rotating and possibly habitable. He wasn't alone. In the 1800s, John Cleves Sims Jr. declared the Earth to be hollow, with massive openings at the poles, and even petitioned Congress for an expedition to enter and explore this secret world. His belief was so strong, he tried to spread pamphlets and even carved Sims hole theories into history. Later, in 1913, Marshall B. Gardner took it further. He claimed not only is the Earth hollow, but there's a miniature sun inside it, lighting vast internal landscapes where unknown civilizations may thrive. To the scientific eye, this is fanciful nonsense, but the allure of an unseen world beneath our feet, it never quite fades. Even today, there are maps, some real, some forged, that hint at strange openings in Antarctica, marked by cryptic notes in archaic languages, diagrams of subterranean tunnels crisscrossing beneath continents. In Nazi Germany, some factions believed in a hidden inner realm beneath the South Pole, the mythical Neues Schwabenland, where advanced beings, even aliens, were said to reside in peace, awaiting return. It all sounds absurd, and yet it continues. From Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth to modern internet conspiracies, the idea of inner Earth civilizations, complete with alien cities, luminous plants, and ancient archives of forgotten knowledge, persists like an ember. But here's what's fascinating. Geophysicists know surprisingly little about the deep Earth. Most of our understanding of the mantle and core comes not from direct observation, but from seismic waves, vibrations that ripple through rock after earthquakes. No human has ever dug more than 7.5 miles down, and the Earth's radius is nearly 4,000 miles. We have barely scratched the surface. So when we say the hollow Earth is impossible, we say it with the cautious certainty of those who have only just cracked open the first layer of a book, not yet turned the page.
Perhaps it isn't hollow, but could it be honeycombed, latticed with deep chambers, hidden biomes, and ancient biological vaults waiting in the dark? Even modern scientists speculate on subterranean biospheres, microbial life thriving kilometers beneath our feet, feeding on chemicals from deep rock, utterly alien to our surface world. Isn't that, in some way, a hidden world? A real one?
Whether born of poetry or particle physics, the idea refuses to die. It adapts, it evolves, and it keeps whispering, "There is more below than you can imagine."
Have you ever felt the ground tremble beneath your feet? A subtle sway, a distant hum, as though something vast and dreaming stirred deep below. The earth, it seems, is not silent. It breathes. Not in the way lungs do, but in great geological sighs, in rolling seismic waves and the slow tectonic dance that has shaped continents, raised mountains, and split seas. These motions aren't random. They echo ancient rhythms of heat rising from the planet's molten heart, of pressure building and releasing along fault lines, like the tightening of a muscle, or the quiet exhale of something immense, waiting. Seismologists, those who listen to the planet, use tools that feel like stethoscopes against stone. They've learned that even in calm times, the Earth emits a low, constant hum. Not from earthquakes, but from ocean waves crashing and atmospheric winds pressing down into the crust. A resonance, like a great sleeping creature snoring just softly enough that we had to invent instruments to hear it. This hum pulses between 2 and 7 millihertz, too low for the human ear, yet always there, like a background song to the world's unending becoming. And in the deeper layers, where no human has walked, where the rocks are plastic with heat and flow like honey over millennia, there is motion still. The mantle moves, slow, silent, and inexorable. Plumes of molten rock rise like ghosts, pushing crust from beneath, breaking continents apart over eons. Some scientists call this the deep Earth engine, the living, moving heart of the planet. But others, dreamers and thinkers alike, have looked at these pulses and whispered another question. What if this is consciousness? Not like ours, but a planetary awareness, expressed not in words or thoughts, but in rhythm, in heat, in the poetry of pressure and time. A slow mind, a dreaming Earth. It may sound strange, even heretical, but consider this. If the human brain is a web of electrical pulses, and the Earth has magnetic fields, currents, pulses, and rhythms too, then where does thought truly begin?
Perhaps what we feel in tremors is not only geology, but the subtle stirring of something ancient that has always been alive. Beneath the surface, where sunlight dies and darkness becomes its own atmosphere, there are places that glow, not with fire, not with electricity, but with life, softly lit, eerily beautiful life. Here in the forgotten depth, light is not a gift from above, but a secret born from within. You may have heard of fireflies, tiny sparks in the summer night, but deep underground, in caves blacker than coal, there are cousins to the stars. Glowworms clinging to cave ceilings in New Zealand cast down filaments like silky fishing lines, not for play, but for prey. Their blue-green glow lures insects upward, hypnotized, into a death that looks like heaven. Imagine walking through a cathedral of stone lit by constellations of living lights, bioluminescent halos dripping from the ceiling like upside-down galaxies. This is not fantasy. It's the Waitomo Caves, where darkness wears jewelry, and time slows to the rhythm of dripping water and soft green shimmer. But glowworms are not alone. In the dank corners of the Appalachian Mountains, fungi sprout in moonless woods, their caps and stems casting an eerie radiance like ghostly lanterns. Foxfire, it's called. The Cherokee once believed these lights were the souls of the departed, guiding hunters and lost wanderers. Modern science tells us it's an oxidative enzyme reaction. Luciferin meets luciferase. But no chemistry lesson can quite erase the feeling of being watched by glowing wood that doesn't burn. Deeper still, into sulfur caves and volcanic vents, bacteria glow with no eyes to see them, no predators to flee, no lovers to impress. Why? Why would something shine where no one is watching? Some scientists suggest it's ancient, a light from a time before eyes were invented, a biological habit that never died out. Others wonder, is it communication, a warning, a secret language in light? And then, of course, come the myths. Stories told by miners and explorers of glowing figures moving through tunnels, of orbs that float and vanish when pursued, of entire underground lakes lit not by fire, but by something unnameable. Were these gases, fungal blooms, or something else? Something older than us that learned to glow in the dark long before we invented gods.
Because light in darkness is always a message. It says, I'm here. Come closer. Don't look away. Some legends say that beneath the crust, there's an entire realm that glows, lit not by a sun, but by energy, pressure, and a bioluminescent ecosystem unlike anything we've ever seen. The 19th century occultists who spoke of Agartha or Shambhala often described a city where everything radiated a soft inner light, as if life had found another way to be seen. Is it fiction? Folklore? Maybe. But life on Earth has a long history of proving us wrong. So the next time you walk through a cave and catch a glimpse of something shining from the wall, don't be so quick to explain it away. It might just be the Earth whispering back. In the breathless dark of the Earth's deep places, where sunlight has never dared to tread, there are sparks, flickers, glimmers, living light. Caves, sinkholes, and tunnels, not all are barren voids. Some pulse with an eerie radiance, soft and surreal, as though the stars themselves had sunk into the bones of the world. Here, light is not scattered, but summoned, from the bodies of the smallest beings, fungi, worms, and insects that shimmer with an inner fire. They need no sun, only chemistry and ancient instinct. Armillaria malea, the honey fungus, can light up rotting wood with a spectral greenish glow, its thread-like filaments weaving a ghostly embroidery on the forest floor. Deep in New Zealand's Waitomo caves, thousands of glowworms, Araconca luminosa, hang like living chandeliers, casting sapphire constellations across the cave ceiling as if trying to remember the sky from beneath the earth. Why do they glow? Some say it's to lure prey. Some say it's to communicate. But none of them know. Not truly. Only the creatures do, and they do not speak in words. Bioluminescence is one of the most ancient languages of life, older than speech, older than thought. It pulses in jellyfish adrift at sea,
in fireflies over summer grass, and in fungi beneath forgotten leaves. But deep within the earth, it takes on a different tone, a mystery, a myth. Ancient miners told stories of foxfire, the name they gave to the glowing fungus they'd find in decaying wood. They believed it to be omens, sometimes good, sometimes warnings. In Slavic folklore, there are tales of Zarptitsa, the firebird whose feathers glowed in the night. Some believe these were born of sightings in deep caves, where underground creatures moved like living embers, seen once, then never again. And among certain indigenous American stories, there are whisperings of inner earth spirits whose eyes glow like moonlit pearls, guiding or misleading wanderers in the deep. In modern times, explorers in remote cave systems have reported odd lights, unexplained pulses on cavern walls, as if some unseen watcher blinked. Is it science? Is it folklore? Does it matter? Down here, in the dark, the boundaries blur. The glowing things breathe. And whether their light is born of evolution or echoes of something older, we can't help but feel they are watching, or perhaps welcoming us home. Beneath your feet, they say, lies another world. Not just stone or silence, but a kingdom, a sanctuary, a secret. For centuries, whispers have drifted through time of tunnels that stretch endlessly, of doors hidden in the Arctic, of stairways in the Andes that spiral downward, past molten rivers and veils of mist into a hollow earth. Not empty, not dead, but teeming with life, civilizations that flourish beneath our understanding. This is no modern myth. In ancient Tibet, there are legends of Shambhala, a radiant realm tucked deep within the earth, inaccessible to most, but home to those who've reached a higher wisdom. It is said to glow with an inner sun, where harmony reigns, and the soul is free to remember its truest self. The Hindu epics tell of Patala, a netherworld more beautiful than the heavens above, adorned with jeweled trees and luminous lakes, guarded by serpent beings who possess deep cosmic knowledge. And in the vast imagination of 17th century thinkers, from Edmund Halley to John Cleves Sims, the Earth was not a solid sphere, but a layered world with concentric shells and an inner light, a celestial nesting doll with lands still unexplored. These stories were not born in caves. They emerged in times of wonder and worry, moments when the surface of life seemed too fragile to hold all its secrets. So the mind turned downward, to a second Earth, protected from war, decay, and the grinding machinery of time. But where do these stories come from? Is it only metaphor? A longing for retreat? For a hidden place untouched by sorrow? Carl Jung believed that myths of the inner world are reflections of the inner self, that what we bury in the unconscious takes shape in story, becoming secret cities, golden domes, and glowing skies beneath our waking life. The hollow earth, then, might be less about rock and lava, and more about psyche and soul. It is the unlit room within, where parts of us, the wise, the wild, the wounded, still live, waiting to be rediscovered.
But what if, just what if, there really is a door, a crevice in Antarctica that leads downward? An old cave in the Amazon where the walls hum with heat and wind moves as if breathed by something ancient. There are explorers, even now, who follow maps that never existed, dreams that linger for decades, an intuition that pulses with quiet certainty. They believe the Earth has not one face, but many, that just as the sea has abysses we've never touched, the land, too, has hollows we've never named. And if someone has found that place, if a civilization thrives below us still, they are likely not lost, just patient, listening, waiting, remembering. Shall we now continue to section 15, the pressure of silence, how the deep earth squeezes sound into stillness? This one will be gentle and meditative, about how sound behaves underground, how silence thickens with depth, and what it does to the human mind. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes. Not the quiet of a room with the door shut, but the hush of centuries, pressed between stone and shadow. Down here, sound has nowhere to run, no open air to dance in, no soft trees or chirping wind to echo against. Just walls, thick, ancient walls that absorb every whisper before it has a chance to bloom. This silence is not absence, it is pressure. It is the weight of stillness wrapped in layers of mineral and memory. In the upper world, sound is generous. It travels far. It rings from bell towers, spills from laughter, ripples through forests. But in the deep earth, it is hoarded. Even a breath is swallowed. Even your own heartbeat feels like an uninvited guest. The caverns of the world, from the vastness of Krubera in Georgia to the labyrinths of Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, hold a silence so thick that it becomes a kind of echo in reverse. Not something you hear, but something that listens back. Scientists have studied how sound behaves underground, the compression of rock, the temperature, the water-soaked walls. They change the way sound moves, or doesn't. Deep boreholes register tremors that never reach the surface. Mines hum with subsonic rumbles, sounds we cannot hear, but that still surround us like a low and ancient chant.
This silence has strange effects on the mind. Some say it makes time stretch. Others say it makes thoughts louder, until you can't tell the difference between what is happening inside and what is happening outside. In experiments with sensory deprivation, subjects placed in ultra-quiet environments begin to hear things that aren't there. Footsteps, whispers, distant songs. The brain, aching for input, begins to sing to itself. In the stillness of caves, monks have found peace. Mystics have found visions, and miners, sometimes, have found madness. Silence down here is not merely the absence of sound, it is a mirror. It shows you yourself with no distractions, no noise to hide behind. But for some, this is a gift, because in that mirror, they see clearly for the first time. They feel what they've ignored. They remember what they've buried. Perhaps that is why we are drawn to these places, not just for adventure, not only for discovery, but for contact, not with the earth, with ourselves. Because to hear nothing is sometimes the only way to hear everything. Beneath our feet, far below the forests and fields, the earth sleeps. But this sleep is not still. It is not idle. It breathes. It shifts. It dreams in movements so slow they might as well be forever. These are the tectonic plates, massive slabs of crust and mantle floating atop a sea of molten rock, drifting inch by inch, year by year, epoch by epoch. We easily forget they're there. They move no faster than our fingernails grow. They are silent, patient, unseen. But in their dreaming, they reshape the world. They pull continents apart, like thoughts drifting in different directions. They push mountains upward, like memories rising from deep within. They slip and grind, like the gears of time itself. What we call an earthquake is just a momentary shiver, a flicker in Earth's long slumber, a sudden shift in a dream that has lasted for millions of years. And what we call a volcano, that fiery eruption, that fountain of ash and fury, is a breath, a sigh from the planet's restless chest. In the quiet corridors beneath the crust, magma stirs and flows like the blood of old gods, and the mantle, slow churning and vast, carries secrets older than bones, older than oceans, older than life. The planet has moods, not like ours, but deeper, more enduring. Supercontinents once roamed its surface, Pangaea, Gondwana, Rodinia, now forgotten names, except for those who read the rocks like ancient poetry.
They tell us that Earth dreams in cycles. It gathers, it scatters, it warms, it cools, it sleeps, it stirs. Some scientists call this mantle convection, the slow circulation of heat and rock beneath the crust. But poets might call it something else. The turning of planetary thoughts, the rhythm of Earth's meditation. These sleeping tectonics have shaped the paths of rivers, the heights of mountains, the climates of continents, and the routes of human migration. They built the Himalayas. They cracked open the Atlantic. They tore apart the land we now call Africa. And yet, they are still moving. Right now, as you lie in your bed, as you breathe this sentence, Australia is drifting northward. The Andes are still rising. The Pacific is shrinking. The Earth is not still. It only seems still because we are brief, and it is ancient. It sleeps in motion. It dreams in stone. And in its dreams, it carries all of us, our cities, our stories, our joys and devastations across the surface of time. The next mountain range is already becoming. The next ocean already stirs in silence. You may never feel it, but the earth is dreaming you forward. As we descend beneath the crust, past soil, past stone, past the oldest bones, a silence begins to deepen, and with it, a darkness that does not end. This is not the night we know, not the soft dark of dusk, nor the star-pierced velvet sky. This is the dark that light cannot touch, a blackness so absolute it swallows even imagination. Sunlight, our constant companion, can reach into the depths of the sea, can warm the coldest morning, can pierce clouds and dust and atmosphere. But it cannot chase us here, beneath miles of rock and weight and time. The light stops completely. Finally, it is in this eternal dark that the earth holds its most ancient memories, not in words, but in pressure, in heat, in fossils compressed into jewels, in whispers locked into crystal seams. No eye sees this place. No flower blooms here. No clock ticks in the dark. And yet, life has learned to listen. There are microbes that dwell in this abyss, tiny, tireless, blind, feeding on minerals, on chemical warmth, living in ecosystems where light is a myth and survival is a song sung in another key. They live in pores of rock, in hydrothermal veins, in silence so complete it feels like the very beginning of time. To us, it is unimaginable, but to them, it is home. These microbial ancestors may be echoes of the first life on Earth, or perhaps the last that will remain when light finally fails.
Here, time moves differently. Slow, dense, weighted. A single layer of sediment might take centuries to form. A single fossil, millions. If the surface of the Earth is a symphony, this is the pause between movements, the breath held in the lungs of the planet, the space between thoughts. Light, for all its speed and reach, is delicate. It bounces, it scatters, it flees from pressure, from depth, from the heavy silence of the underworld. There are no shadows here, only the absence of everything. And yet, this nothingness is not empty. It is full of secrets. Diamonds are born here, not in splendor, but in suffering. Carbon pressed beyond imagination until it becomes clarity. Oil forms here, from ancient algae and marine decay, slowly, softly transmuted by heat and time into liquid memory. Even the very magnetic heartbeat of the Earth, that which shields us from cosmic harm, stirs deep in this unseen realm. Molten iron moves in circular conviction, spinning a magnetic cocoon that lets birds migrate, that lets compasses dream. All this, and we can't see it. But perhaps we don't need light to feel the weight of wonder. Perhaps, in the deepest dark, a different kind of vision awakens. The kind that hears minerals singing, that feels the slow swirl of magma like a lullaby for the bones of the world. This is not a place for eyes. It is a place for awe. So as you lie there, eyes closed, listening to the hush between heartbeats, know this: the world beneath you is darker than night, older than dreams, and more alive than silence. And it is still holding you, still shaping you, even now. Beneath the deepest caves, below the last layers of basalt and bone, there is a place where even air has forgotten how to breathe. Welcome to the core, the hidden heart of the earth. It does not beat, it does not bleed, but it pulses with a power older than oceans. Imagine descending not into soil, but into pressure. Every step pressing you tighter, until thought itself feels heavy. Down here, the rules begin to bend. Iron flows like water. Stone glows without flame. Time feels thick and slow. This is the breathless core, where the earth is both solid and liquid, still and churning, furnace and foundation. The outer core, a sea of molten iron and nickel, swirls in constant motion, creating an invisible field that protects everything we know. This magnetic field is the silent guardian of the surface. Without it, solar winds would strip our air, our oceans would boil into space, and life, as we know it, would be undone. All from the movement of metal we can't see. And then, deeper still, lies the inner core.
Solid, burning, still somehow untouched. It is hotter than the surface of the sun, but under such unimaginable pressure that the metal cannot melt. It simply stays, burning, waiting, spinning. Yes, spinning. The inner core turns independently, a slow, graceful drift inside a liquid sea of fire. Some scientists believe it spins faster than the crust above, like the earth is slowly winding itself up from the inside out. And yet, we can never go there. No drill will reach it. No camera can survive it. We know it only through ripples, seismic echoes from distant earthquakes that pass through the planet's bones, like a doctor reading a pulse through walls of stone. And in those ripples, we glimpse the truth. The earth is alive, not just in forests and oceans, but in its deepest breath, in the way its heart heats and moves and holds. When we walk the ground, we are not walking on stillness. We are balanced on a living, layered miracle, a sphere of fire wrapped in silence, a heart of iron wrapped in time. And though it is breathless, it is not lifeless. It breathes in different ways, through volcanoes, through magnetic shifts, through the ever-so-slight wobbles in our planet's spin. We do not hear this heartbeat with our ears, but with our instruments, with our awe. We build models, we guess, we imagine. But the truth is, the core remains mostly unknown. Not because we're not clever enough, but because some places are meant to stay silent, to remind us that not all hearts are open. Some are forged in fire, held beneath gravity's thumb, and left to burn unseen. So tonight, as you listen, know that beneath your bed, beneath your home, beneath every continent and sea, there is a quiet fire that never dies, a center that does not sleep, even when the world above slows and dreams. It does not need air. It does not need light. It only needs to be. Not all darkness beneath our feet belongs to science.
Some of it belongs to stories, to whispers, to wonder. Long before seismographs, long before drills and data, humans looked at the mountains, at the caverns yawning open like mouths, and asked, "What lies beneath?" And from that question, the legends came pouring. They spoke of a world inside this one, not just rock and magma, but tunnels and kingdoms, skies under stone, and people who never knew the sun. This was the myth of the hollow earth, a world turned inside out.
In some stories, there was a central sun suspended in the middle like a lantern. In others, ancient civilizations lived in peace, protected from the chaos above. Jules Verne, with ink and imagination, gave us volcanoes that opened downward into lost lands with dinosaurs, giants, and glowing fungi. In Norse tales, there were the deep realms of Svartalfheim, a world of dwarves, of forges and glowing embers, where the roots of Yggdrasil took hold. In Buddhist tradition, there were stories of Agartha, a hidden realm beneath the Himalayas, full of wisdom, peace, and shimmering cities of light. And in modern times, some whispered that lost Nazis escaped underground, that UFOs came not from stars, but from subterranean hangars hidden in polar ice. Science, of course, says no. The Earth is layered, not hollow. There is no sun inside, only pressure, heat, and metal. No golden cities, no secret tunnels that pass through to the other side. But the myth persists. Why? Because it's beautiful. Because something in us longs to believe that the world has secrets left. We want to think there are places untouched, where ancient knowledge waits, where harmony was never broken. In a world mapped by satellites and measured to the millimeter, the idea of an unseen sanctuary feels soothing. Maybe that's the real hollow space, not inside Earth, but inside us. A place carved by curiosity, filled with longing, echoing with the question, what if? And in our dreams, we descend. Through hidden caves, through doors carved into mountainsides, into warmth, into silence, into a glowing, impossible world, where the rules are different, where gravity doesn't press so hard, where the air hums with forgotten songs. This is not science, but it is not nonsense either, because imagination, like magma, shapes the landscape of the mind. And sometimes we need myths to remind us that even if the earth is not hollow, we are full. Full of questions, full of dreams, full of secret worlds that wait behind closed eyes. So tonight, as you rest above the solid spinning globe, let your mind drift downward, not into rock, but into reverie. Let yourself believe in glowing caverns, in humming crystals, in peace below the noise. For even if it's only a dream, it's a beautiful one. And maybe that's enough. Far beneath the waves, where sunlight is only a rumor, lies a world so quiet it can hear the earth breathe.
The ocean floor is not deaf to time. It listens, patiently, silently, to the slow settling of dust, to the shuffle of tectonic plates, to the whisper of distant whale songs that pass like ghosts through water. We often think of the deep sea as empty, still, unmoving. But in truth, it is always recording. The seabed is Earth's memory foam, impressions of extinction, of evolution, of falling comets and rising continents, all pressed into its quiet crust. Layer by layer, sediment becomes story. Each grain of silt a word, each shell fragment a pause, each ancient fishbone a forgotten name. If we could read it all, we would know more than textbooks allow. We would know how continents danced, how climates shifted, how life changed its costume and tried again after every mass dying. We would hear the sudden hush after a meteor strike, the heavy silence of an ice age, the crackle of rebirth as coral bloomed once more from bleached and broken skeletons. The ocean floor is where history sinks, not to be lost, but to be buried in a silence so complete, even time must wait to speak again. And sometimes it listens to things we never meant to share. The drone of submarines, the murmur of cables, strung across continents like nerves, the clatter of anchors, the hum of undersea volcanoes plotting their sudden bloom. Instruments now reach these depths. Hydrophones, seismic arrays, deep-sea rovers, they hear things we cannot. Earthquakes hundreds of miles away, the creak of oceanic ridges shifting, the heartbeat of the planet measured in vibrations. And yet, even with all our tools, we understand so little. Because the ocean floor is vast, its secrets silted over, hidden beneath miles of water and millions of years. Some parts remain completely unvisited, unmapped, as though the Earth still holds a diary it refuses to open. There may be creatures we've never seen, cities swallowed, mountains taller than Everest rising in darkness, unknown and unknowing. But perhaps the greatest mystery is how this deep stillness feels alive, as if something listens back, not a creature, not a mind, but the world itself, awake beneath the weight of water. So when you drift to sleep tonight, picture it, a quiet valley beneath a black sea, a ripple in sediment, the echo of a whale call from 1,000 miles away, the steady pulse of underwater silence. This is where the Earth listens, where secrets are stored, not in vaults, but in sand and stone and silence. And maybe, just maybe, when the time is right, it will whisper them back, not loudly, not all at once, but gently, like waves on a forgotten shore.
Beneath the ocean, beneath the crust, beneath the stone-boned plates that float like puzzle pieces, there is fire. Always fire. The Earth is not a cold world, not deep down. At its heart pulses a molten engine, a slow, surging tide of rock and heat, churning, shifting, breathing in a rhythm older than air. We often forget this. We walk on meadows, sleep beneath stars, swim in seas, and think of Earth as still. But inside it is moving, a restless swirl of metal and magma, pressing outward, folding continents like paper, warming the sea from below. This heat is not just warmth, it is memory. The leftover fire of Earth's birth, the friction of tides,
the decay of ancient atoms that whisper their energy into stone. And from this fire comes life. It fuels the hydrothermal vents that line the ocean floor like glowing veins, cracks in the crust where water meets fire and gives birth to something new. Here in blackness, without a single photon from the sun, life blooms. Tiny shrimp with translucent skin, worms with no eyes, bacteria that feed not on light but on chemistry. It is a second Genesis, happening in the dark, in silence, where fire meets water and writes its own scripture of survival. These vents, these shimmering, smoking chimneys, may have been Earth's first cradle, a warm place in the deep where life stirred in mineral soup, cradled by warmth instead of light. The fire within makes this possible. It is not just destruction, it is creation, it is movement, it is breath. Tectonic plates ride on its currents like icebergs on fire. They drift, collide, and crumble. They make mountains. They tear open rifts. They draw continents together, then pull them apart, as if rearranging the room for a better conversation. Volcanoes are its voice. Earthquakes are its sighs. And the deep sea, quiet and cool on the outside, is warmed by its invisible hands.
Even in the coldest trenches, a little warmth rises. Not enough to boil, but enough to remind us this planet lives. And we, living far above, are carried by its warmth, like passengers in a cradle of lava and stone. Without it, the core would cool, the plates would stop, the fields would crack, the oceans would still, and the breath of the planet would falter. This fire is not a threat, it is a promise that even in darkness, even in the quietest places, there is a pulse, there is a warmth, there is the memory of stars long dead, still glowing beneath our feet. So tonight, as you drift into sleep, picture the Earth's heart, a slow swirl of molten gold and iron, turning and humming and warming the bones of the world. It does not ask to be seen, only to be felt. And it is there, always, beneath us, within us, keeping time with a rhythm too deep to hear. In the still, unyielding dark of the deep sea, where sunlight surrenders to silence, and the pressure of water is as heavy as forgotten time, there are songs. But these are not songs made of sound. They are songs of light. Tiny sparks, pulses, glows, flickers in the black, like whispers written in fire. This is bioluminescence, the sea's secret language, a form of poetry, written not with ink, but with enzymes and dreams. Here, communication is a shimmer, a brief flare of blue, a swirl of green, a rhythm of flash and fade that says, I am here, come closer, stay away, feed with me, flee with me, love me. To us, the deep ocean feels like a void,
but to the creatures who live there, it is a stage lit by breathlight and memory, a vast ballroom where signals are stitched into skin. Anglerfish dangle their lanterns like a baited lullaby, a candle in the dark that tempts the curious to their fate. Jellyfish drift like floating galaxies, their soft bells pulsing with electric glow, trailing threads of light that write the history of their passing. Comb jellies refract rainbows, a rippling, oil-slick sheen that dances down their sides in waves of iridescent rhythm, a quiet performance for no eyes but their own. And tiny plankton, invisible by day, erupt into stars when stirred, a sudden bloom of blue fire, trailing behind passing whales, storm-tossed ships, or swimming dreams. To see this is to witness the cosmos inverted. Stars below instead of above. Constellations that move and shimmer, guided not by gravity, but by instinct and need. But why? Why glow at all in a place so black? The reasons are many and beautiful. Some use light to lure, to attract prey, to trick the hungry with a promise of safety or food. Some use light to confuse, flashing in patterns that dazzle and disorient, allowing escape. Some flash as alarms, calling out into the dark, saying, "Something is gone wrong. I am not alone." Others send signals to mates, using coded pulses to say, "You are not the only one left in this quiet world." And some, perhaps the most haunting, glow for reasons we do not understand. Maybe it is a leftover memory, or maybe it is joy. Because what if, in the long hush of the abyss, a glow is not a tactic, but a song? A soft lullaby in chemical hues, sung to no one, and yet sung anyway. Even in darkness, life finds a way to be seen, not by the sun's gift, but by its own alchemy, its own radiance. The abyss is not silent. It speaks in light, in tiny trembling lanterns that rise and fall with the breath of the sea. So when you close your eyes tonight, imagine drifting downward through velvet black until you see it, a single pulse, then another, then a bloom, a curtain of living stars. The sea is singing, and you are watching its music unfold. Let's go deeper now, past the glowing veils and wandering light, past the silent ballet of drifting creatures, down, down, into a realm where the pressure is not just immense, it is sovereign. Down here, the water doesn't gently embrace. It presses in, tightly, like the memory of an ancient grief. At these depths, the weight of the ocean becomes unthinkable, over 1,000 times the pressure we feel at sea level, enough to crush submarines, to shatter bones, to silence all but the most stubborn machines. And yet, life persists. Not in resistance, but in grace. The beings who live here are not armored giants or braced warriors. They are soft, delicate, almost ghost-like.
Their bodies are not fighting the pressure. They are one with it. No air pockets to collapse, no fragile bones to snap. Just tissue, jelly, fluid, perfectly matched to the weight outside. They are not just surviving, they are thriving in an environment that would destroy nearly everything else. This is not resilience in the way we usually think of it. This is adaptation, a peaceful acceptance, a quiet trust that the environment will always press in, and they will always know how to hold it. There's something to learn from that. You see, we often fear pressure, emotional weight, expectations, deadlines, memories that feel too heavy to carry. But in the deep sea, pressure is not the enemy. It is the shape of reality. It is the sculptor, and life is the clay. The creatures here have stopped resisting, and by surrendering, they have become elegant. The snailfish glides with an almost holy stillness, its gelatinous body like a thought barely formed, its muscles tuned to this heavy hush, like an instrument that only plays in silence. The amphipods, shrimp-like and translucent, move in slow, deliberate spirals, unafraid of the weight pressing against them. They are built of balance, neither crushed nor rigid. They are fluent in pressure. And the hadal zone, the very deepest trench, holds forms of life that we still do not fully understand. Some without names, some seen only once. Their lives spent in complete darkness, under crushing silence. And still, they move, they eat, they grow, they live. In this great pressure, there is no panic. There is a rhythm, a pulse,
A peace. It is not the absence of weight that brings calm, but the deep, quiet agreement to let the weight become part of the body. To breathe in the pressure and let it become part of your being. So when you feel the heaviness of life, when expectations, grief, or memories lean in too close, think of these creatures. Think of how they've made a home out of the most unbearable weight. How they are not broken, but sculpted. How they do not rise above it, but sink peacefully into it and become something beautiful. In the deep, pressure is not the end of life. It is the beginning of a new kind of stillness. One that waits and listens and hums quietly in the dark. Welcome now to the flickering edge of Earth's forgotten garden, a place so deep, so hidden, it was once thought to be barren, lifeless, too dark, too cold, too pressurized for anything to bloom. And yet, here at the bottom of the ocean, where sunlight never arrives, there are cities of light. Not light from above, but from below,
fierce, mineral-rich heat spewing from cracks in the seafloor. Black smokers, they're called, hydrothermal vents, like chimneys from the Earth's molten heart, pouring scalding water into the abyss. The water here can be hotter than boiling, yet just a few feet away, the cold is Arctic. It is a land of extremes, and still, it is teeming with life. Giant tube worms, red-plumed and ghost-white, stand in clumps like alien flowers. No mouths, no digestive systems. They survive by hosting bacteria inside their bodies, bacteria that feed on the chemicals pouring from the vents. This is chemosynthesis, a miracle that mirrors photosynthesis, but without the sun. Here, life does not depend on light. It depends on heat, on chemistry, on a strange and ancient partnership between microbe and host. This discovery, when it first emerged in the late 1970s, changed everything we thought we knew. Before this, we believed life needed sunlight, that the sun was the source, the origin. But now, here were entire ecosystems, thousands of meters deep, that had never seen a sunrise. Shrimp with no eyes, clams the size of dinner plates, crabs white as bone, feeling their way through mineral clouds. It was as though someone had opened a door to another world. And perhaps they had. Because many scientists now believe that if we find life elsewhere in the universe, on Europa, on Enceladus, on Mars, it may look like this. Not forests, not cities, but microbes around alien vents, huddling near warmth, feeding on minerals, thriving in the dark. The deep sea is not just part of our planet, it is a mirror held up to the cosmos. In these hydrothermal gardens, we glimpse how life may begin anywhere. Without sunlight, without oxygen, without even a sky. Just chemistry. Just time. Just the stubborn, sacred will to live. So as we watch these flickering plumes of heat curl into the cold blackness, we're watching something sacred. The closest thing we have to proof that life, in all its wonder, can emerge from fire and shadow. And maybe, just maybe, it already has, elsewhere. Close your eyes. Drift deeper. Beneath the pressure and the cold, where no human voice echoes, there is still sound. In the abyss, the sea speaks, not in words, but in pulses, in moans, in rumbles and pops and whistles, a language older than language, and all around, the seafloor listens.
You see, there are microphones placed deep beneath the waves. They're called hydrophones, tiny ears of science, listening to the hidden heartbeats of the ocean. And what they record is astonishing. The grumble of underwater volcanoes, bubbling like ancient cauldrons, the groaning of tectonic plates sliding past each other in slow-motion ballet, the haunting call of a blue whale, as deep and long as a cathedral's sigh. Sometimes, there is a sound no one can name, a mysterious bloop, so loud it echoes across the Pacific, louder than a blue whale, yet no known creature could have made it. A whisper from the unknown. Was it an iceberg fracturing, a seaquake, or something else? Something vast and breathing. Down here, sound travels faster. Water is denser than air.
so a murmur can travel for thousands of miles without losing strength. It means the ocean is a giant ear and also a voice. It remembers things we have forgotten. Hydrophones placed in World War II are still picking up traces. The faint pings of long-lost submarines, the hum of distant shipping lanes, even the chorus of snapping shrimp crackling like underwater campfires. And in this symphony, there is something deeply human, because we too are creatures of sound. Our first sense of the world, before we are born, is the vibration of our mother's voice through water. So, when we listen to the sea, we are listening to an echo of ourselves. It is easy to think the deep is silent, but silence in the sea is full of presence. And sometimes, the most powerful songs are the ones no one hears. The ocean hums with memory, and the stones at the bottom, though unmoving, are always listening. In the deepest theaters of the ocean, where no sun can reach, a ballet unfolds, silent, shimmering, surreal. Creatures dance in bursts of light, a luminous waltz in black velvet halls. Tiny lanterns flicker, tentacles trail ribbons of glow, and bodies bloom with electric grace. Each flash a message, each pulse a step, a code written in light to signal, to hide, to seek. Some creatures wear crowns of stars, others ripple with neon veins, all part of a cosmic choreography, a language of fire in the cold abyss. It's a dance of survival, of beauty born from darkness, a reminder that even in the void, life finds a way to shine.
So imagine, as you drift deeper into sleep, that you are part of this ballet, a single spark in the vast sea, glowing gently, softly, with the pulse of the ocean's heart. The ocean's depths are not just history, they are promise, unexplored caves and trenches, secrets sealed beneath layers of time and pressure, whisper of wonders yet unseen. What might still live in the blackness? Creatures we have never named, shapes that defy imagination, life forms adapted to the most impossible of homes. Perhaps new bioluminescent cities, or ancient microbial forests, or slow, giant beings drifting through the abyss, silent watchers of the deep. And what mysteries about our own planet, about life itself, are waiting to be uncovered? Unknown chemical cycles, hidden ecosystems, keys to understanding Earth and maybe even other worlds. The final descent is not just physical, it is a journey of wonder, a reminder that curiosity is a light that never dims. As you breathe now, know that the deep sea holds its breath too, waiting for us to listen, to learn, to dream. Now, as your eyelids grow heavy and the world softens into shadow, let the deep sea's quiet whisper lull you into peace. Feel the rhythm of currents, slow and steady, like the pulse of a distant heart. Imagine the darkness around you, not as emptiness, but as a cradle, safe, still, profound. The ocean dreams beneath the waves, a dream older than time, where life glows softly, where silence sings. In this dreaming deep, you are not alone. You are carried by the planet's breath, cradled by ancient mysteries,
and wrapped in the hush of wonders too vast to see but too close to feel. So sleep now, gently, with the knowledge that beneath your dreams lies a world alive with light and life, a world waiting, quiet and endless, to be discovered. Good night.